We'd had to turn around just as we got to the Severn.
I did an awesome turn.
You did. The lock keeper at Avon Lock, John, he said he was going to ring the next lock for us because there's a high tide coming through. And so when we spoke to the lock keeper, he
An upper load lock on the Severn.
He advised that we wait at Tewkesbury until 1, or we try to get to him at 1 because there is a high tide coming through. The River Severn starts in Wales and follows a semicircular course southward to the Severn estuary, which leads to the Bristol Channel and then to the Celtic Sea. When the River Severn arrives at Gloucester, it becomes tidal. As we're heading our way to Gloucester, we encounter some of this tide. In particular, this part of the Severn is known for the fame of the Severn Bore, a tidal bore that happens because water is funneled through Bristol Channel and the Severn estuary. In some cases, as it was on the day that we were cruising, the bore can overcome the weirs and create a super high tide. If there is a large bore expected, you can also guarantee that a large amount of surfers will turn up to catch the wave. We want to thank Drone Ace Aerial Services in Gloucester for sharing this awesome footage with us. Links to their site are in the description below. Up ahead, the locals may notice that we are back at the lock at Tewkesbury, forbidden to go into the next lock because of the high tide. We ring for permission to stay on the lock landing and have some lunch while we wait for the tide to go out. Unfortunately, this side of the lock is, well, locked, and we can't even take advantage of the time by doing some sightseeing in Tewkesbury itself. Goodbye to our lovely lunchtime mooring. Actually, that turned out quite well because we were both a little bit hangry.
I was.
You were. So we're going to do take 2. Going to finish this tiny little bit of Avon, say goodbye to the Avon. We're going to turn left onto the River Severn. We have phoned the lock keeper at Upper Load, and he said that's fine as long as we arrive there by 1 o'clock. We've checked the Gloucester docks opening times. We can get to Gloucester docks before 7 p.m. It's only about 3 to 4 hours from here to there, so we should be fine. So, fingers crossed that we will be moored up at Gloucester docks this evening.
We've got our life jackets on, we've got our anchor attached, and we're ready to go.
Yep.
Welcome to the River Severn. There's Myrtle Bridge. If I was going to go and do the Avon Ring, I would be turning here towards Myrtle Bridge. But we're heading south towards Gloucester.
You might remember that we started the Severn journey quite a while ago. I'll put a link to that if you want to catch up on our Severn journeys. As you approach the lock, there is a set of traffic lights to let you know if you can enter. And at the moment, the traffic light looks like it's on green, so we are good to go.
Hi guys, you going to Gloucester, are you?
Yeah.
You've been there before?
No.
This way. Right, I've got a piece of paper for you. There's been a high tide, you phoned me earlier on. There has been a high tide.
Yeah.
It is going down, so you've missed it up here, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
But again, if you find yourself going too fast, faster than normal, slow yourself down, just stop for a bit.
Yeah.
Because it can still lag quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
But I'll just give you that piece of paper.
Thanks a lot.
But keep it slow, you'll be fine. Get this rope sorted. There we go. Yeah, that's just the instructions on how to approach Gloucester, especially if you haven't been there before. It's a bit of a learning curve.
I'll get the
I'll give Gloucester a phone, so they should be expecting you.
Okay.
And then they'll be able to try and time it so they can open the gates for you.
Right.
So you won't be waiting there for too long.
Oh, okay.
But if you're ever in doubt, just phone Gloucester.
Okay.
And they'll be able to direct you or give you more further instructions.
Perfect.
It should be all on there.
Thank you.
You've got Gloucester's number, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you got Gloucester's
Thank
number?
you.
No worries. Yeah, good.
This is possibly the biggest lock that we'll go in.
Who's going first? What? Who's going first? Oh no, you guys go.
Alright. We'll see you at the dock. We'll see you at the dock.
Oh yeah, I reckon you probably go about the same, isn't it? Like, that's quite good too.
Well, thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Quick comparison between the Avon and the Severn, just off the top of our heads, as we fight the tide to get to Gloucester.
Yeah, the Severn is a little bit wider. I think it's a little bit deeper.
Yes, it is.
I think that, well, I know that this section between Upperload Lock and Gloucester Dock is occasionally tidal,
Today.
and today happens to be one of those days.
I think also it's a lot deeper. The gentleman at the last lock, who is incredibly informative and well skilled with a bucket, he said that it's quite deep here and there's been quite a lot of debris and there's quite a lot of submerged logs. So I don't know what you can do with that information except for go gently. Yeah.
Came in with the tide today,
Yes.
the debris. Mainly when we get close to Gloucester, we'll see
a nice change.
There's some big waves. Definitely bigger than you get on the canal.
We have to go into Gloucester Lock at Gloucester Dock, and we've had several warnings. We got an information sheet on it, and then the gentleman we were in the lock with in the other boat, he said there's not any room, there's no margin of error going into that lock.
So we'll see.
So we're a little bit nervous. But you guys remember we did those bridges on the Stratford-upon-Avon Canal?
Yeah, perfectly. No, only bumping that one time we were filming.
I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I need to be back on a canal. To describe the River Severn as wide feels like an understatement. As the longest river in Great Britain, it also holds the record for the most water flow in all of England and Wales. And unlike the River Avon, the word Severn does not mean river, so I guess we're not going to have those comments today. But just like the River Avon, we do see so many viewers, so a big hello to this viewer on the Narrowboat Appally. And cows, but no cow interlude. It's quite lovely to see how quickly 4 hours can pass on the river. It's not a river that has a lot of twists and turns, and there's actually not an enormous amount of scenery. And once our waves died down, we kind of really just had an uneventful cruise, but it was beautiful nonetheless.
Waves have died down now.
You could be excused for thinking this tree is the other tree, and that's the not so fun bit about this part of the River Severn. There really is nothing else to look at except, well, fallen trees. Oh, and swans. I'm pretty sure this swan thought he was seeing us off his mooring spot. All feathers raised is never a good sign with swans. Unwilling to fight for a spot we had no plans on stopping at, we continue down the River Severn, and he remains undefeated. We can definitely see how far up the tide came because we can see the tide line along the shore.
There's also an increase in the number of logs that are floating past us as we cruise along.
So we're making our way to Upper Parting, and that's where we have to phone the lock keeper even though he knows we're coming. Obviously we could have stopped off at any one of the pubs or the moorings. So we've got to phone him because we would really like the lock door open for us. There is a wall that you need to hug if you are waiting for the lock, and we would really rather not do that. You see that log in the middle, like right in the middle of the river? actually shut down the Stratford-upon-Avon Canal, or the Llangollen, because it's quite narrow. It's really silty at this part as well, so you can really see that there has been a tide. The sign up ahead signals that the river parts, at the aptly named Upper Parting. The tidal water went over this weir to travel towards the loch we just came from, and we are riding the receding tide back now to Gloucester. Hi, we're on Narrowboat Lazy Days and we've just left Upper Parting on our way to Gloucester Loch. Excellent. Oh, okay, that's so funny. Okay, thank you so much. The narrowboat behind us has very kindly already phoned, so he's getting the lock ready for us, which is awesome. We recommend that you always phone the lockkeeper yourself, even when travelling with other boats. The boat behind us had already phoned the lockkeeper, but we had heard from another boater that a cruiser overtook them on the Severn and said they would phone the lockkeeper. But once they got there, the lock gates were closed. The lockkeeper said that they were informed that the boater had moored up, and so they were in a very sticky situation waiting at Gloucester Lock for the lock to be reset. This isn't a situation that the lockkeeper wants to be in either, so it's always best to ring and check for yourself. We can see the wall that we're supposed to get close to up ahead.
Super excited to be nearly done cruising for the day.
So we have to hug the wall on the left, and hopefully the lock will be set and we just keep this pace up and we'll go in.
I'm at tick over at the moment.
Remember that handy bucket that got lowered to us to use in the upper load lock? Well, it had the instructions on what to do at this lock approach. One thing to keep in mind is that if the lock isn't set for you, you will need to tie off on one of these chains to secure your boat. We have a green light from the lock. We're keeping to the left. We can see the lock gates are open. We're just concerned about what this pool's going to be like, and we'll let you guys know in case you plan to do this trip yourself. There was a slight pull on the boat to continue down the River Severn. Lazy Days, after all, does have an adventurous spirit. However, Kath, with a level head and hundreds of hours of experience, piloted her steadily into the lock. Gloucester Loch is an amazing loch with a road that runs over the top. We have so much to share with you about our new canal, the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal, and we are so excited because we know you are going to love the cruising and the history. You need to hit the subscribe button to come on the journey with us. We love having you virtually aboard. Thanks so much for watching.